Thomas. Welcome to my live stream today from my studio in Wollongong, New South Wales in Australia. Today we're going to talk about how to choose the right chords for your composition. Sometimes as songwriters, composers or arrangers, we might feel that the song we are performing, recording, needs to sound a bit better. Well, this could be because of how it's performed, the lyrics, the structure, tempo, groove, but one of the main heartbeats of any song is how the chords relate to the melody. How the chords relate to the melody. Are those chords that we are using helping the melody? Do they make the vocal line sound better? Well, if in any doubt, I suggest we try the following with the objective of understanding our basic harmonic options, so later on we can develop those and bring a better picture of what we want to explain. So, the first objective is to understand these basic harmonic options by figuring out the key and the available chords to us in any song. So I would suggest that if you have a song that you're not too sure about the chords, it's first scrap all the chords and just listen to the melody and do the following. Let's listen to the melody.
I can't take rejection, babe. No, babe. No, babe.
Okay, so we listen to the melody and we figure out the key. Out of all these notes that we've sung, and it's time to change camera so we can see me on the side. And there we transition. So, out of all these notes, let's sing the note that actually feels like the resting place. Sing the note that feels the resting place. Find that note. That is what we call the key. Okay, knowing the key, the resting point of the song, we can now figure out all the chords that we have to talk about this resting point. This is going to give us other options in this song and to develop a more consistent relation of chords that will make it much more fun for us in our playing. So, we understand the tonal center is C. Is it C major or C minor? Let's try a major chord. Bum bum boom da. It's a major. Let's try minor. Di di bo di o. No, it doesn't work. Even though the melody, I do have an E natural. So it will be telling me that the chord is actually a C major chord. So once we know it's a C, and it's a major chord, what type of major? We know that we have major chords in a scale on the 1, on the 4, and on the 5. Okay, so the C major can be actually found in the C scale on the 1. It could actually be found on the G scale on the 4, G, A, B, C. It can actually be found in the F scale on the 5, F, G, A, B, C on the 5. So now we have to consider and we have to choose which one it is. So what I suggest is actually to play that melody. You play it, and then you fill it in with the scale. So let's start talking about that melody with the C scale. 2, 3, 4. Does it sound right? Let's try talking now with the G scale, filling in those gaps. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, and the last scale that we can try is actually the F scale. So we know the tonal center is C, and now we're going to talk about that C with the F scale. 1, 2, 3, and That sounded better. That sounded really nice. So I would consider that this song talks about the C note as the tonal center, but all the chords that we will use to talk about that C come from the F scale. So these are the chords that we have now from the F scale. Scene 1, there we go, transition. These are the chords we have from the F scale. The C chord, we know it's the 5th chord of the scale. It's a dominant, C7th. Dominant sound good. It's a dominant, a 4-note chord in an environment where we have triads. That is one of the basic elements of harmony that sounds even and balanced. A C chord, 7th, surrounded by the triads of the scale is derived from. So we have the C chord and we have the D minor, the E diminished, the F, G minor, A minor and B flat. Let's use these chords now. Let's go back to the camera, and here we have me back again here. Okay, so now we have the melody, and we're going to figure out in that melody when do we need the chords changing. So let's get the key. La la lo. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ba-dum dum dum. Da change. Dun da da ba da ba change. Ba-do-re. So basically the chords are changing on the 1. So the first chord we know it's a C. The bum bum boom. Ding dum. There it's going to change. So let's start trying out all these other chords one by one. 2, 3, 4. Ba-bum bum boom. Okay, the D minor is an option. The next chord in line is the E diminished. 2, 3, 4. Oh, that didn't sound too good. The next chord in line is the F. 2, 3, 4. That sounded better. Let's try now the next one, the G minor. 2, 3, 4. Okay, that sounded pretty cool. It gives a nice contrast between the first bar and the second. The next chord we have left is the A minor. 1, 2, 3, 4. That didn't feel too good at all. There was a clashing with the top note and the note of the chord. And the last chord we have is the B flat. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that felt pretty good. Okay. So our next step after this is that let's play it along with the recording and we can actually hear those two chords in action and see if we need anything else. Okay, there we go. I'm going to play it once, and since it's on the loop, on the second repetition, I'll just add the chords. So it's C and an F. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I can sing with Jackson, babe. No, babe. No, babe.
That sounded pretty nice. Now, I hear something else in that melody, what we were talking about before, that I'm playing the song and I feel that I need something else. Okay, so I'm hearing 1, 2, 3, 4. Ba-bum-ba-dum, mo-dum, dun-da-da-da-da-da. So more or less on the third finger, I'm feeling that the chord has to change always. So I did the same as before, and I tried all the different options that we had, and I tried from the C, I went to the D minor, to the E diminished, to the F, as we were doing before, like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ba-bum-bum-boom, bum-boom. D minor didn't sound good. Let's try now to the E diminished. 2, 3, 4. Ba-dum-bum-boom, da-boom. that could have worked. It created like a bit of tension before moving to the F on beat number 3. Then I can't go to the F because the F is actually the same chord that we're going to the next bar. C for 4 beats, F for 4 beats, so I need a change there on the 3rd. So I could try the G minor, 2, 3, 4, bum bum boom. Sorry, 3 and bum bum boom. That I like better. So I finally ended up with C for 2 beats. Then I changed on beat number 3 to the G minor, because I needed to create a difference. And basically the G minor does not have the note of the C chord, and this creates a difference in harmonic tension. Then I went to the F chord, and then I created on beat number 3 also the same relationship of change of harmonic tension, which in this case I used a B flat. So it sounded like this: 3 and ba-dum bum boom, dum no 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 bum, in context. Let's play that in context with the band.
I can sing with Jackson Band. No
1,
band,
2,
no
3,
band.
and
I can sing with Jackson Band. No band, no band.
okay. I like that. So we've got our chords that are helping this song sound better, to create more movement with the melody, and it's going to make it flow better. So now we're going to have more fun with the rest of the instrumentation or the rest of the arrangement. So what do we have now? We have C chord, G minor, F, B flat, C chord, G minor, F, B flat. So we've got 4 chords now. So the first thing we're going to do is actually create a bass line. The bass line, the objective of the bass line is to define the chords in the low register, to define the rhythm with the melodic line. So I came up with this line: 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, it seems that we're back. Okay, it seems that we're back here now. The streaming software just crashed. Okay, I've got 2 cameras, so I'll just use one now. I think it will be much more effective. So basically, I was at a moment of we have selected the chords that we want for the song. And I was considering how to create a bass line to define those chords. And let me just find, once again, our beautiful melodies that we had there. There we go. So this is the bass line I created with the chords. Let's play it.
I can sing
C chord,
with Jackson
G
Band.
minor,
No
F,
band, no
B
band.
flat, C minor, G minor, F, B
I
flat.
can sing
C.
with Jackson
Cool.
Band. No band, no band.
Okay. Let's see if I can change camera now. Camera. Okay, camera front. Let's change camera now. Transition. There we go. So yeah, that way you can see the guitar a bit better. Okay, so now we have created the bass line, and it's time to consider what are we going to do with the guitar. So with the guitar, we can play the chords whenever you think of playing the chords. Consider that you can play the chords with 1 note, 2 notes, 3 notes, or 4 notes if it's a 7th chord. So we'll start off by actually creating the melodic line just with 1 note. Remember, the objective of chords is actually to be able to play the groove, the chords, together. So we use the chords to create groove. The guitar uses the chords, thinking of chords, but with the objective of creating groove. So, having understood our groove, which is the rhythm that we played, I considered, and I actually concluded that I wanted to play the chords, defining the chords, with one note at a time. And I came up with this line: 2, 3, 4. Dun, 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 dun. So I came up with like an ostinato over the C chord. Now when I go to the F, I decided to make it 7th. So it sounds really nice, cool ostinato there. 2, 3, 4. So in context, this is what I came up with. Let's listen to the recording.
I can't take rejection, babe. No, babe. No, babe. I can't take rejection, babe. No, babe. No, babe.
I like that groove. Feels good. Now, once we've defined the groove. We've got the groove going well, the bass line, defining the chords in a melodic manner. It sounds very independent. Then we have the chords played with a melodic line, adding nice groove to it, a nice ostinato. Then I considered that what else I needed on this song to make it sound complete. So I decided that I needed some clear chords. Clear chords means chords created following the harmonic series. But basically I'm talking about triads. So closed triads in an octave, or open triads where one of the notes is dropped an octave. So a closed triad will sound like this. I'll play it for the second time.
I can't take rejection, babe. No, babe. No, babe. I can't take rejection.
An open triad would sound wider and also clear. You notice I'm not strumming chords. These typical chords I'm not playing it. I'm not going. I'm really not playing that way because it doesn't add clarity. It would cover a lot of the drums. So there's another way of creating this flow, which is defining the chords with melodic lines, as I did a few seconds ago. Now we can just play the chord and let it layer it in a way that it just floats. And the result is this. I recorded with a piano.
I can't take rejection, babe. No, babe. No, babe.
Let me put that on loop and repeat it again. Loop.
I can't take rejection, babe. No, babe. No, babe. I can't take rejection, babe. No, babe. No, babe.
So, summarizing. What have we done here today? What have I done? We've stripped the melody to its basics. So we heard a melody. Without any chords. This gives us the option of a clarity of what can I add to that. So how do we do that? We find the tonal center. We found that it was C. Then we decided that C was major. Then we actually decided what major it is. There are three majors. It could be the 1, it could be the 4, or the 5. Each of those produce different sounds. So in this case, it could be the C chord of the C scale. It didn't sound like that. It could be the C chord of the G scale. It didn't sound like that. Or it could be the C chord of the F scale. It did. So then I just created an outline of where the chords change. Where the chords changed. In this case, every bar, there would be a change of chord where it would go from C, 2, 3, down to the F. I also decided that in between these chords on beat number 3, I felt there was a need of other harmony to create a movement. So in there, I tried all other chords, and basically chords that are not similar to the previous notes give me the option of creating movement. So in that spot there, I added the C, the G minor, the F, and the B flat. The next step was, let's transfer this to the band. How do we create a bass line that defines the chords in a melodic manner, that creates a nice groove and is independent? Boom. I recorded that. Then I said, let's add on more rhythm. I needed more rhythm, and the guitar creates more rhythm with chords. How can I play chords? With 1 note, 2 notes, 3 notes, 4 notes. In this case, I decided with 1 note. 1 note playing the chords. I came up with that melodic line. Once I had that, then we had all the open space in the world to actually just define those chords, simply layering them in triads, in open triads, no strumming, absolute clarity, just on top of the melody. And that way we got beautiful harmony, hovering around, and the melodic lines of the bass and the other line that's in ostinato just creates a bit of groove, a bit of melody, and the vocal line just pours out with clarity. Okay, that was today's live stream. Every week I will be repeating a new live stream with guest artists. I'll be analysing productions of other musicians. One of my favourite composers is Ennio Morricone. We'll be looking at his compositions. Also Henry Mancini. In music, I always strive, I always felt inclined to listen to that music which gives me that feeling of absolute clarity, where everything has its own space, nothing's confusing. So these great composers and even good arrangers like in the Beatles produced that you can hear everything with clarity, everything sounds good on its own, and it builds those individual blocks, build of songs that are just amazing, that you can hear forever and ever, full dynamics, you can hear it live, and it just feels great. So bit by bit I'll bring all that experience of listening and analysis and start sharing with you. We also have invited artists from Australia and all over the world who will be joining us every week with different discussions, from music to philosophy about music. So if you like, please keep on subscribing and to the new videos that we'll be seeing. So thank you all for joining. Bye-bye.